And hopefully we're not gonna have that this time. First, though, going to. I don't know what needs to happen as far as the. Yeah, we're gonna delete that. Okay, think that is good. Alright, we'll go ahead and do this. Hello, this is Brian Scuttle, and welcome to this session of the Sonic Cinema Movie Chat. And thank you very much for watching. You can find my written work, as always, at www.sonic-cinema.com. And you can also hear me at the Sonic Cinema Podcast on Google, Apple, and Spotify podcasts, as well as the Sonic Cinema Podcast YouTube channel. Last week, I posted a podcast that Robert Yanis Jr. and I did on parody films, and it was a really entertaining one to prep for. I really should. I'm really probably gonna try to do more comedy podcasts in the future, because that was a fun one to get ready for, because I just enjoyed watching the movies again. You can also find me at patreon.com/Sonic Cinema. And also, I started so on Facebook, what I've typically done, I've had pages, one for Sonic Cinema, one for my composers, my music, and my composers page. Basically, I'm going to be those really haven't gotten much traction over the past few years. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually started a Sonic Cinema group for, and it's Sonic Cinema, and in parentheses www.sonic-cinema.com. And so if you're still on Facebook and you want to check that out, I've basically been posting some stuff about various discussions. Like yesterday on my main page, my personal page, I had discussion going on John Hughes films, because Hughes is a name that I really have not explored too much over the past, well, my entire life, really. I mean, I've seen a few of his movies, especially the ones that he's written, more than the ones that he's directed. I think Ferris Bueller's really the only one that I've seen so far that he's actually directed. And I'm sort of debating how deep to get into his filmography. Stuff like Vacation, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and stuff along those lines, I'm definitely going to check out. But as far as the teen movies, Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles, I never saw those growing up. I was too young for them when they first came out, and then I wasn't really interested in them by the time I was in high school. And I was that was early on in my movie watching. And like, one of the things I mentioned is that, like, in the 90s, when I was a teenager and I was starting to get into movies, I was more interested in the movies that were coming out. And it wasn't until college that I really started to get interested in watching movies, go back in time to watch movies that I missed or wasn't alive for. And so that's just been kind of and it's kind of been spurred on by re-listening to the A's All Over podcast, and them talking about Hughes's films. And it's interesting because of the fact that it's like, how, without the context of experiencing those movies as a teenager or as a kid, how am I going to react to those movies watching them as an adult? I mean, I have an experience of watching Fast Times at Ridgemont High for the first time as an adult and absolutely loving it. Slightly different experience, but I just really enjoyed that film. I thought it was a terrific film. I it could be that I have that similar experience with John Hughes films, with The Breakfast Club or Pretty in Pink, or maybe even 16 Candles. Although I know 16 Candles is problematic for a lot of various reasons. Um, so it's been one of the, and that was a really great conversation. And so when I, over on the group, I basically, I thanked everybody who contributed to that one, and the discussion sort of has continued to continue on there. But I've also started to post other things, like how Spielberg is very much not wanting Universal to do a reboot of Jaws, and bringing up the fact that John Hughes actually wrote a version of Jaws 3 that was essentially a parody. It was called Jaws 3 People Zero, and Joe Dante was going to direct it, but Universal got cold feet with that, so they decided not to go through with it, and we got the absolute travesty that we got with Jaws 3D. And then, of course, Jaws the Revenge, which is just even more batshit crazy. Uh, and then that led me to bring up Spielberg today, because Spielberg's brought he signed this lucrative deal with Amblin with Netflix to uh, release some movies on Netflix. And the thing is, it's like the the Spielberg Netflix deal feels like a big deal because of the fact that um, obviously Spielberg was critical about Netflix movies getting nominated for Academy Awards a few years ago. But the fact of the matter is, it's not like you're all of a sudden going to start to see Spielberg's movies debuting straight to Netflix. That's not going to be the case at all. He's still very much into. He's still very much wanting to be a part of the theatrical experience, and I mean, with his directorial work, that's certainly going to be continue to happen. But I mean, I think especially with Amblin Productions, that he's not necessarily the main filmmaker behind. I can definitely see him, though, more of those going to Netflix in the future. And I pose the question with that, as far as was everybody's favorite Spielberg, and there have been some interesting choices. I mean, the obvious choices are Jurassic Park and Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I completely get both of those. Jurassic Park was actually my favorite Spielberg for a long time. I'm gonna talk more about my favorite Spielberg next week, because it shares an anniversary because it has a particular anniversary next week. If you're familiar with me at all, you probably can kind of guess what that one is. And Patrick Michael actually mentioned Duel, which is an excellent example of Spielberg, and it really is. Even though it was basically a made-for-TV movie, it's actually also the closest thing that Spielberg, I think, has made to a straight exploitation film. And if it hadn't been made for TV, you can very much see it being like a midnight movie or a drive-in movie. You could definitely see that being a possibility. As I would love to see it on the big screen. That would be a fantastic experience. Um, and then Brian Ackley actually mentioned Amistad, which is an interesting choice. I really respect Amistad more than I love it. I think it leans too much into the courtroom drama aspect of the story. So it's not as much about the actual slaves, which is unfortunate, especially with the tremendous performance by John Hansu in that movie. But overall, I mean, I completely respect Amistad as a choice. And if you are on Facebook and you're a member of the Sonic Cinema movie group, by all means, answer that post with your favorite Spielberg movies. I'm also going. That's also where I'm going to be posting movie review links and I've got quite a few of those that are going to be coming up in the next few days as I get back from vacation. Was in Savannah this past week, as I mentioned last week, and it was a lot of fun, and it was definitely much needed rest and relaxation. I hadn't really been on a true vacation since 2016, and I kind of needed it after the past couple of years, and I was glad we were able to take it. And it's Savannah's a really beautiful place, and last week I reviewed Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil and talked a little bit about how my feelings on that have drastically changed past um over the past 20 some odd years, and rewatching it for the first time since then. And it's one of those things where being back in the we actually did a lot of walking around. We didn't really drive anywhere. We had buses and tours and stuff like that, and that was a lot of fun. But we basically walked everywhere, and it was great to have that freedom of basically being able to do what we wanted for the most part. And it was a nice experience. It was one that and I didn't miss watching movies at all, and I think that was kind of a nice thing I needed to do. I needed to be able to sort of shut down my critical mind as far as watching movies and just enjoying the experience. And I mean, I think that really helped. And but because of that, I've got several screeners that I've got in the next couple of days that you can expect reviews. I'm actually watching one tonight, Gaia, which is a New Zealand horror film, and it's a pretty interesting one. It's a combination of like environmental horror with body horror, and it kind of reminds me of Ben Wheatley's In the Earth, which I first saw at Sundance, and I saw again before its theatrical release, and I really like that one. I think that one's overall better film with more interesting things to say, but I love the horror aspects of Gaia, and I'm looking forward to reviewing that one. You'll be able to find that review tomorrow. IFC's Werewolf Within is going to be reviewed. I'm looking forward to screening that one, as well as Francois Ozon's new film, Summer of '85, which hopefully I'll plan on getting to sometime this week. And then I also maybe will find it time to watch Fast 9. Because that's the big one that comes out this week, and I haven't had a chance to see it uh, early, but I'm looking forward to it. Which, if you had asked me 20 years ago, I wouldn't have. That I'd be looking forward to a ninth, technically 10th movie in the Fast and Furious franchise. I wouldn't have believed you, because I was not a big fan of the first Fast and Furious in 2001, and surreal to think that it's been going on for 20 years. The fact that franchise is going on for just 5 years less than the Mission Impossible series is remarkable, and it's something else. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this turns out. I do kind of wish they kind of ended the franchise with Furious 7. Paul Walker kind of was the heart and soul of that franchise, and one of the heart and souls of the franchise, and it would have been nice to sort of see them go out on that high. I understand why they didn't, but I'm not sure what the next few are going to be like. But yeah, maybe we'll get to go see that tomorrow night. I'm not sure yet. But if we do that review will be up sometime this week. I do have an invite to my first in person press screening on Monday night. It's the first one I've done since I believe on no, not Uncut Gems, probably 1917. I think was when Meredith and I went on our anniversary, and I think that was the last press screening I was at. But this one, I'm looking forward to this one, and thankfully I was able to have off for it. So we'll see how that one goes, and that I'll probably try to get that review. I'm not gonna say what it is yet, but needless to say, it's one that I'm looking forward to, and it's one that I think is going to be one of the big tests to see how movie theaters are doing in this as we start to sort of come out of COVID with movie theaters. It's gonna be interesting to see. It is gonna be interesting to see how business continues to progress as things go with COVID. I think Fast 9 is gonna be. I think it's gonna be like the first really big blockbuster hit. Um, I just think that people enjoy this franchise too much. It'll be curious to see if this one kind of underperforms, sort of in the same way that Fate of the Furious did. It's like, is that because Paul Walker isn't in it? Is it because people are tired of the franchise? It's gonna be interesting to see what it's like. I really hope that I'll be able to get to the Sparks Brothers in theaters, because I really did love that documentary by Edgar Wright, and I really would love to see it in the big screen. Same with Summer of Soul by Questlove, which is supposed to come out the second. It's gonna be on Hulu, so if you don't feel comfortable going to the theaters to see it, I certainly recommend seeing it on Hulu. But I saw it twice, covering the Sundance Film Festival, and I cannot wait to see it again. I really am looking forward to that. Haven't seen the new episode of Loki yet. I did really enjoy Loki, so I have really enjoyed Loki. It's been a pretty fun show. I do agree with people who say it's probably the best of the Marvel Disney Plus shows to date. WandaVision started off strong, and then once the veil started to lift off of the premise, it kind of got weaker as the series got long. I did actually enjoy Falcon and the Winter Soldier for what it was, just straight up action series. I thought that was entertaining. But I think Loki's so far been the most imaginative, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it progresses from here. Another one that I need to catch up with is the Bad Batch, the Star Wars series, which I really like the first few episodes, but I haven't seen the last few, so I need to catch up with that sometime in the next couple weeks. Meredith's actually going back out of town, so I'm next week, so I'm actually going to have time to myself, so I do hope to catch up with movies that I want to watch for the podcast. Hopefully get a couple podcasts recorded while she's out of town. I'm looking forward to editing the one I did with Rosa last week on In the Heights. One of the things I'm really grateful that I started having other film critics that I've gotten to know on Twitter on the podcast, because of the fact that, to a certain extent, with their knowledge, I sort of feel like I'm getting a bit wiser in my feelings on movies and how to look at movies. And with Rosa and In the Heights, and when it came to representation, that was one that I think was definitely the case. I hope to have that review or that podcast out in the next week or so. It will definitely be out before the end of June. It will just depend on when I have time to edit that, which hopefully will probably be tomorrow. So we'll see how that one goes. Let's see, trying to think of what else there really is to say. Um, there's not too much that I have right now. That's I just wanted to kind of get on here because of the fact that I did want to make sure I'm on here on a regular basis, and that's important to me. And I will hopefully get back to having guests on the stream in the near future, and especially as my work schedule kind of settles down, I'll be able to have a better idea of what my streaming schedule is going to be. I think Tuesdays through Thursdays are going to be kind of the sweet spot for next week, just based on my work schedule. Is probably going to be next Thursday night, around 9:30 or so. So I might try to get a guest on next week, and to just talk about movies for a bit, talk about them, and just sort of have some really good experiences with friends and fellow critics and filmmakers that I have gotten to know over the years. So that's going to do it for this brief episode of the Sonic Cinema Movie Chat. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you continue to read my work at www.sonic-cinema.com, listening to the podcasts at the Sonic Cinema Podcast on Google, Spotify, Apple, as well as the Sonic Cinema Podcast YouTube channel, and check us out at patreon.com/Sonic Cinema. Thank you very much.